Welcome to Friday Night Frights. I am your host, Count Vampire. Tonight, we're going to be reading from more scary stories to tell in the dark by ALVIN SCHWARTZ. You remember ALVIN SCHWARTZ from last year. And I say to you who are just joining, welcome. So, I hope your day has been creepy and your nights restless. The story we're going to read is something was wrong. One morning, John Sullivan found himself walking along a street downtown. He could not explain what he was doing there, or how he got there, or where he has been either. He didn't even know what time it was. He saw a woman walking down toward him and he stopped her. "I am afraid I forgot my watch," he said and smiled. "Can you tell me what is the time?" When she saw him, she screamed and ran. "It's Miller time, I think." Then John Sullivan noticed that some other people were afraid of him when they saw him coming. They flattened themselves against the building or ran across the street as far away from him as they could. "There must be something wrong with me," John Sullivan thought. "I'd rather go home." He hailed a taxi. That's not very nice of him. You call a taxi. You don't throw hail at the taxi. But the driver took one look at him and sped away. John Sullivan did not understand what was going on, and it scared him. "Maybe somebody at home can come and get me," he thought. He found a telephone and called his wife. But a voice he did not recognize answered. "Is Mrs. Sullivan there?" he asked. "No, she is at the funeral," the voice said. "Mr. Sullivan was killed yesterday in an accident downtown." Poor Mr. Sullivan. He must have been texting and driving, or reaching for his coffee cup as he was driving. Don't do that. The next story we're about to read is called The Wreck. Fred and Jean went to the high school where they met for the first time at the Christmas dance. Fred had come by himself, and so had Jane, pardon me. Soon Fred decided that Jane was one of the nicest girls that he ever met, and they danced together most of the evening. 11 o'clock, Jean said. I have to leave now. Can you give me a ride?" "Sure," he said. "I've got to go home too." "I accidentally drove my car into a tree on my way over here," Jean said. "I guess I wasn't paying attention." Again, she was texting and driving. Fred drove her to the head of Brady Road, which was in a neighborhood he didn't know very well. "Why don't you drop me off here?" Jean said. "The road up ahead is really in bad condition, and I can walk from here." Fred stopped the car and held out some tinsel. "Have some," he said. I got it at the dance." "Thank you," she said. "I'll put it in my hair." And she did. "Would you like to go out sometime to a movie or something?" Fred asked. And that would be fun," Jean said. After Fred drove off, he realized that he did not know Jean's last name or her telephone number. I've been there before. This was back in the 1800s. I was going to go ask this woman for her phone number, and I forgot. Instead, I just bit her. Back then, my phone number was 2. Jean's last name, he forgot about that. He did, and I forgot that I read that sentence. I'll go back, he thought. The road can't be that bad. He drove slowly down Brady Road through thick woods, my kind of road. But there wasn't any sign of Jean. As he came around the curve, he saw the wreckage of a car ahead. It was crashed into a tree and had caught fire. Smoke was still rising from it. And Fred made his way to the car, and he could see something or someone trapped inside, crushed against the steering column. It was Jean, and in her hair was a Christmas tassel he had given her. That was a terrible story, but it was a good one, eh? All right, this is page 8. It's called Sounds. What? I said it's called Sounds. What? Okay. I'm sorry, Head. I forgot to bring you in. The house was near the beach. It was a big old place where nobody had lived for years. From time to time, what? Don't interrupt me. From time to time, someone would force open the window or a door and spend the night there, but never longer. 3 fishermen caught a storm and took shelter there one night. And then with some dry wood they found inside, they made a fire in the fireplace, and they lay back on the floor and tried to get some sleep. Can you sleep in a place like that? I do every night, blah, blah. But none of them slept that night. Fred, they heard footsteps upstairs. It sounded like they were in the stairwell, people moving back and forth, back and forth. One of the fishermen called, "Who's up there?" No, it wasn't your Uncle Ralph. And the footsteps stopped. Then they heard a woman scream, and the scream turned into a groan and died away. Blood began to drip from the ceiling into the room where the fishermen huddled. A small red pool formed on the floor and soaked into the wood. A door upstairs crashed shut, and again the woman screamed. "Not me!" she cried. It sounded as if she were running, high heels tapping wildly down the hall. "I'll get you," a man shouted, and the door shook the floor shook as he chased her. Then silence. There wasn't a second until the man who shouted began to laugh. Long peals of horrible laughter filled the house, kind of like mine. It went on and on until the fishermen thought they would go mad. When finally it stopped, the fishermen heard something coming down the stairs, dragging something very heavy, and bumped on each step. Don't. You know that sound. And they heard him drag it through the front hall, out the door. The door opened and slammed shut again. Silence. Suddenly a flash of lightning filled the house with a green blaze of light. A ghastly face stared at the fisherman from the hallway. Yes, that was your Uncle Ralph. Then came a crash of thunder, and terrified the men, and they ran out into the storm. That was kind of a dumb ending, don't you think? They saw a terrifying face and ran out into a storm. I first asked, what do you want? You know the time? Where can I get some pizza? Something like that. I wouldn't run out into a storm and take a chance of getting killed by the lightning. Been struck by the lightning several times. That's how I am the way I am. So, I hope you enjoyed Season 5, Episode 1 of Friday Night Frights. Come and join Count Vampire next week for another episode of Friday Night Frights.